Welcome graduates, their families, students, board members, alumni, faculty, staff, and friends. We are honored by your presence, and we are especially honored to invite Jesus Christ to dwell in our midst during this certain time. Please sit back and enjoy this meaningful and meaning-filled tradition here at ACA. The word baccalaureate comes from medieval Latin, meaning or stated baccalaureatus, an alteration of baccalaureus, a young man aspiring to knighthood. It also calls to mind the bacca lauri, the laurel berry, the ancient symbol of victory. Tonight, we have young men and women, all bachelors by the way, who in their hearts wear the laurel berry as a symbol of victory over the ACA course of study and the vicissitudes of life, and they aspire to knighthood, being armored with a Christ-centered liberal arts education. The baccalaureate service had its beginning at the University of Oxford in the year 1432. In this service, the graduate was required to deliver a sermon in Latin as a requirement to receive a diploma. We have adopted this ancient tradition by elevating each graduate to provide a short homily or sermonette or reflection as a final word to their mentors in life and their fellow scholars. Let us afford them our attention as we begin the service in prayer. Please pray with me. Father, thank you for each one of our graduates. Thank you for the words that they will share. Thank you, Lord, for the treasure they have stored up in their hearts that they probably won't share. But thank you that there are great memories there. Thank you that there are great memory stones. I pray for each one of them, Lord, that as they go on their way, after they share their words, that you would go with them, that the things that they have been taught, the words that have been invested into their hearts would sprout, grow, be fruitful, and impact this world. Lord, thank you for this evening that we can be together. Thank you for the parents who labored so diligently, as well as the faculty who worked so hard. Lord, we commit this time to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hello and welcome to the Asheville Christian Academy Class of 2020 graduation. I know that many of us here are anxious about the uncertain times ahead, and this class certainly faces unprecedented challenges as we continue our education and seek employment. However, we are gathered today to celebrate the graduation of this exceptional class, and no amount of bizarre circumstance can detract from this achievement. Together, this class has weathered challenges both ordinary and extraordinary, and our collective effort and commitment have led us to this joyous occasion. Our journey has been fun and entirely unique, worthy of commemoration and tears. From the hazy years of lower school learning when we played tag and dodgeball, sweated over math minutes, sailed, camped, and played history in the flesh. Those years were bliss, masquerading as drudgery. Then came middle school, oh what horror, the group projects, the awkward skits, and wordly wise. Every day a fresh ordeal tempered with unfunny jokes. Jumping across chasms in the depths of a cave proved easier than facing our insecurities. And then we were high schoolers. Suddenly middle school didn't seem so bad. Hustle, bustle, and new responsibilities weighed down on children not yet ready to grow up. And yet we adapted. We competed, performed, studied, and found our passions. We strived to emulate those we saw above us, and it came as a shock to find ourselves at the top. College applications, heavy course loads, and senior integration projects all forced us to wonder how earlier classes survived. And then it was over. The class of children grew to be young adults, leaving behind the happiness and limitations of simplicity. We fought through last-minute complications and discovered our dreams. We made it. Of course, we scarcely could have reached this point without the immense and dedicated support of our wonderful families. You are the ones who have shared our burdens through your loving, inspiring presence in our lives. Parents, siblings, guardians, and others, our gratitude seems a meager payment for your ceaseless care and encouragement, as well as your sacrifice in sending us here, and we truly owe a great debt to your vital role in our success and maturation. Additionally, our heartfelt thanks is more than due to our teachers and faculty. You are the best we could have hoped for. Your continual patience and commitment in guiding, mentoring, and supporting this class were beyond anything we had any right to expect, and the key to our success lies within your kindness and tremendous talent. You have shown such enthusiasm and sincerity in urging us to explore our potential that it will be strange to learn without you. And so now we reach the end, not of everything, but of the world we've known for a very long time. This is not the last goodbye, nor the final time we shall meet, yet it's hard to say farewell. Even after the stress and studying, after the final score and the last bow, after the sun has set on our days at ACA, we are inextricably linked with this community and each other. There will be more friends, professors, defining moments, but they pale in comparison to the love and kindness we've been offered here. I thank you all, faculty, staff, and students. Thank you for making it hard to say goodbye. Finally, while there is much I would like to say to my fellow seniors, I'll say only this, as it is perhaps the sum of our experience together. I'm proud to have been a part of this class, and you have all undoubtedly earned this moment.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. A fun, upbeat, fast-paced REM song describes an ever-changing world. My fellow seniors, our world is changing drastically. Never in the last 100 years has a class had to graduate from high school during a pandemic. Never has a class ended their senior year at home. We have endured hardships beyond belief. We have attended school in our pajamas and only had to go for half a day. Troubles I would not wish on my worst enemies. Each of our lives will change in a very significant way. The new chapter of our life will bring many unknowns. No longer are we going to be living at home, and no longer will we be surrounded by familiarities. However, if I have learned one thing at ACA, it is that in our hectic and changing lives, there is one thing that never changes: love. The love that your friends have for you will never change. The selfless love that your parents have is never going to leave. I mean, they've changed your diapers, and there's no getting out of it now. Lastly, and most importantly, the love of the Lord never leaves. 1 Corinthians 13:13 says, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." As we leave this place and begin our new and exciting chapter of life, let's remember that God's love is eternal and knows no boundaries. With God, it can be the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. I hope you will too. I love you all, and I wish you all the best in the world.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow, if I can. I never knew that the road of my life would lead me here to North Carolina, graduating high school from Asheville Christian Academy. I grew up all my life homeschooled by my wonderful, wise parents, and I loved every minute. In all ways, they guide me. They push me to do what's best for me, even when I'm too afraid to try. Such was the nature of my coming to ACA. When my parents told me they would be sending me to a private school, that I would actually have to learn with other people, needless to say, I was terrified. People are scary, and new experiences are even scarier. But they knew that there would be new and wonderful opportunities for me here. And of course they were right. I've met some of my closest friends and strongest mentors. I've made the most beautiful memories, sang the most melodic songs, and performed in some of the most moving stories, all the while growing in a deeper relationship with our Creator. My years at Asheville Christian Academy have been some of the best of my life, and I would never have been able to experience them without the love, sacrifice, and patience of my parents. Thank you. As Bilbo Baggins' song from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings goes, the road goes ever on and on. And now my road too is reaching a new bend, and I must follow, if I can.
In my 12 and a half years of going to ACA, and my half year of going to ACA at my house, I've experienced a lot. I've had the joy of being the tree in The Wizard of Oz, the excitement of being chess club champion in 5th grade, and the sadness of my brother leaving to go to college. Now I wish he would go back. While school and quarantine have certainly brought their challenges, they have each shown me how blessed I am. Ecclesiastes 3:1 states, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." While I have lost a lot this year, such as special senior traditions, my last baseball season, and time with lifelong friends, it has been evident that I have a lot to be thankful for. Looking back on my school years, my time with my teachers, teammates, and friends was a privilege. I had my season of wonderful moments with my ACA family, and now I've got to reflect on those times as I lose my sanity with my actual family. To my family, I actually do love you. Thank you to my mom and dad for your constant support and for all the sacrifices you've made. Mike, I've talked about you enough in this speech. You're a beta. Thank you to all my teachers over the past 13 years. The time and devotion you've invested in me and my peers is greatly appreciated. While my time at ACA arguably ended in March, I'm really sad to officially leave this community and head off to college. I will leave you with this. Re.
Baccalaureate! What? Is this not real? We're leaving, and we don't even know how to feel. So my first and last thanks, Mom and Dad, my dear grandparents. I love your love, and I can't get over it. I'll hate giving up my room, the weed, the full gas tanks, leaving Lainey's steps for my own, but going to the same state. We'll hate never wearing a logo on our chest, or using up our breaks not to study, but to rest. I guess we'll like our futures a little. Don't worry, not complaining, this is just a riddle. What we will never outgrow is our love. For good meals with teammates and underclassmen hugs. Our thanks for the teachers that have shown us life, that radios are instruments, math is cool, and you'll be okay when you don't get a 5. We've learned so much right here, that grades do matter, but not to fear, because hearts burn as well as paper, and it's our friendships the teachers savor. We've had peaks and many valleys, our share of love and appreciation rallies, 2 principals in the worst parking, and no sure vision for our college embarking. So, let us gaze while we are able. As we leave, I ask you leave a seat at the table. For us, don't forget that you have been home, and we want that feeling when to you we come. Peace to you from the depths of my heart. Peace of you, Lord, thanks for this new start. Though we've lost so much, thank you for giving us a finish to this unpredictable 15-year lifer season. God and y'all, thanks for love and life. We need you, family, and senior family. I've loved you. Thanks for each moment, from field day to yoo-hoo. This might be the line we cross at the end of one race, but the cross-country, cross-bearing, cross-purchased life season starts here.
Coming to ACA 2 years ago was the best decision I could have made. Although I was nervous in coming to a new school, the kind people here embraced me almost immediately. Since I have been here, I've seen the importance of working hard, and I can say with all the homework, I sure have been worked hard. But the outcome of studying all night and losing sleep has proved memorable and effective. So I'd like to give a huge thank you to all the teachers here, because although you load us with homework and lots of tests, it really does push us to be better, and I wouldn't trade the experience I had for anything else. Also, thank you for caring about us like we are your own children. It is really inspiring. I have also been able to take my volleyball career to the next level with the help of the coaches and supportive parents. Thank you, Coach Render, and all the other coaches who made it possible to have a season this year. You all pushed me to become a better player, leader, and all-around better person. I will never forget wonderful Wednesdays and the bus rides to Raven Gap. I can never thank you guys enough for what you have given me, especially my teammates. They were my first family I had here, and I will forever be thankful for the people on the team, new and old. I also want to say thank you to all the kids here at ACA. You guys are amazing, and each one of you is crazy talented. I have learned so much from you guys. I love all of you and know you're going to do great things with your life. Lastly, thank you, Mom and Dad. You have been able to give me this opportunity, and I've loved every second of it. You worked so hard for me to be able to go here, and although sometimes I take that for granted, just know that I am beyond grateful for you too. I couldn't have survived these past 2 years full of volleyball, homework, and stress without you guys. You are my biggest fans all the time. I love you guys so much.
Go where you are celebrated. This is such a corny catchphrase, but it has rung more and more true each year of my high school career. It took me so long to understand that I needed to find people who loved and celebrated me as I am. ACA is a community where you can feel celebrated. I have now come to realize that as long as we work hard to do everything in our power to be successful, God will guide us to the plans and goals that He has set for us. Our stupidity and mistakes are no hindrance to the Creator of the universe. Ever since 8th grade, when I came to a new school while my mom had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, I have felt loved. I am without words when I reflect on how thankful I am to have had a strong support system during one of the darkest trials I've had to face, and I thank God for my ACA community every day. When I bawled my eyes out during my public speaking class as the new girl in 8th grade, as I addressed the situation with my mom, I was comforted. My friends smiled at me and came to hold me. Everyone had open arms to show me the love of God that is active in this school every single day. However, as I branched out of the ACA bubble, I have met the most incredible people, both as mentors and friends. Many people will love you so hard if you just seek to know them. ACA is a community of love and grace for those who seek it out. We all have a community of kindness to look back on and to come back to if we ever need. My ACA family, my teachers, my friends, both in and out of school, my grandparents, my mom, my dad, Jeannie, Katie Colby, Maury, my aunts, and my uncles have all poured into my life, and I am so grateful. It has truly taken a village with me, but I am so thankful that it has, because I have countless mentors and people who seek to show me kindness each day. When we seek out relationships, work hard but are proud of our results, appreciate the community of love that we have both in our personal lives and our academic lives, and always go where we feel most celebrated, cared for, and loved, God will guide us because He has a plan, and we must always trust in Him.
"2008. I walk across the ACA stage in a gold cap and gown, excited to graduate kindergarten and prepared to give up nap time in exchange for a full day of walking the halls at school. Impact. It means to have a strong effect on someone. I think we can all remember people, places, and moments that have changed our lives. Walking the halls of ACA for 15 years has taught me lessons more valuable than how to write an essay and has prepared me for tests harder than Mrs. Hagan's. I built relationships stronger than Mr. Goffin's knots, and have felt God's presence in caves and on mountaintops. Not only has ACA had a huge impact on my life up to this point, helped shape me in so many ways, helped me learn new passions, and challenged me to try new things, but it has also set up every person in my class to lead the school and make an impact. We've been trained up to lead with the gospel, and as we lead this school, ACA has impacted us and given us the gift to impact others. But none of this would have been possible if it weren't for the most important people in my life. My mom, my best friend, and my dad, my constant encourager, both who not only sacrificed so much to send me here, but poured their hearts into my entire life and showed me the love of Christ every day. My sister who guides me and is always there to tell me the truth, and my brother, my built-in playmate and protector, and many more, my grandparents, cousins, aunts, and uncles who are always there no matter where my life takes me, and my friends who have now become my family. 2020, I walk across the same stage, excited and sad to graduate high school, and prepared to give up the home I have known for so long in exchange for the world it has so well prepared me for.
At my older brother's high school graduation, my dad offered some words of wisdom that have stuck with me for the past 3 years. He said, "You're 1 in a million, but there's approximately 7.8 billion people in the world, so that means there are nearly 8,000 people who are exactly like you." Dad, your dry humor is just one of the many things that I love about you. Your relationship with the Lord is evident in your selflessness, steadfast love, and humble leadership. Thank you for making all the sacrifices that you've made for me and for providing an example of the kind of person I would like to become. Mom, thank you for committing to simultaneously homeschool 4 kids from 4 different grade levels for more than 12 years. I am truly blessed to have grown up next to such a patient and loving mother who strives to magnify the Lord in everything she does. To my siblings, I don't say it enough, but I love you all and can't imagine growing up without you. William, thank you for constantly helping me through math and physics-related challenges and for giving me honest advice whenever I needed it. Grace, thank you for providing an example of what it means to live with humility, even though it's no secret that you're better than me at just about everything. And David, thank you for always supporting me and for showing me how to confidently pursue new things without a fear of failure. Lastly, thank you to all my classmates, teachers, friends, and everyone else who has had an impact on me throughout my life so far. I can honestly say that you have each shaped me in unique ways, and I'm so grateful for all the love, support, and wisdom that you have poured into me. I will cherish the memories I've made and all the lessons that have come along with them as I pursue the path that God has set for me.
11 years ago, I said goodbye to my friends in Brazil as they all left to return to America at the end of my 2nd grade year. I realized in those moments how impactful my relationships had been, and it was hard to say goodbye to that. Saying goodbye to that was like saying goodbye to a wonderful era of my life. Now, after 10 years of ACA, I realized how blessed I am to be surrounded by people who care about me. So today, I don't want to say goodbye, but rather thank you for a great 10 years. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for listening to me and for carrying me. Thank you, Tim, for being someone I can talk to about anything and everything. And Bill, thank you so much for the joy you carry with you everywhere you go. I love waking up and seeing you living every single day like it's the best day of your life. Now I want to thank the entire class. You all are an incredibly unique group of people, and I wish I knew you all more. I loved spending my life with you all, even if our time was cut shorter than we expected. I wish you all the best when you leave and go our separate ways. And no matter where we end up, never forget that we will always have this time together. People keep saying that God gives us a path to follow, but I choose to believe that God gives us a field where we can carve our own path in his love and guidance. For the past 10 years, our paths have connected. I hope they connect again in the future. To quote BMO from Adventure Time, "It seems unforgiving when a good thing ends, but you and I will always be back then. We will always have this time together, and I'm thankful for it."
Before I came to America, it was a place both familiar and strange to me. It was familiar because I can enjoy American movies and pop music in China, and I had also traveled to some American cities. Even so, I never knew what it would be like to actually live here, and so I was still nervous when I boarded the plane. School started just a few days after my arrival. Everything was overwhelming. The language, the costume, new teachers, and new students. But the kindness of people here soon dispelled my anxiety. I am thankful for my host family, the Brents. They have helped me so much during these 3 years. Although I am an introverted person and do not like to express myself, they still show a great concern for me and try to help me enjoy my life here. I have to say that playing on the golf team was my happiest time at ACA. I remember practicing together. We felt excited together when we improved our scores, and we encouraged each other when someone made a bad shot. I especially want to thank Coach Hicks. He patiently corrected my mistakes and calmed me down when I felt upset. He always tried to make me be less competitive and just enjoy the game. I also want to thank my teachers. They were always willing to answer my questions and resolve my confusion. They give me priceless knowledge and arouse my desire to discover and learn. At last, I want to thank my parents in China. They have provided everything for me. They love and support me unconditionally. Without them, every step of my life could not come true. These 3 years have gone so fast, but everything I experience here will become a irreplaceable part of my memory.
I am so thankful for the experiences and life lessons that I have gained through my time at ACA. But more importantly, I have met so many amazing people that have carried me on this journey. These are the people that I would like to thank today. First, I would like to thank my mom. Mom, I couldn't have gotten here without you. You have always supported me in everything that I've ever done. You are a constant inspiration to me. Thank you for inspiring me to follow my dreams, but more importantly, the plan that God has for me. Dad, I have constantly looked up to you since I was young. Thank you for allowing me to come to ACA for the past 10 years. I know that it was no small sacrifice, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for being willing to share your wisdom with me, for taking us on camping trips, for funny references to movies I don't understand, and for being such a good role model. I hope that I can be half the man you are one day. Jonathan, I am so proud that you are my brother. You have helped me become who I am today, and I don't know where I would be without you. I am so thankful for all the time that we've had together. I know that you're going to do amazing things one day. You are going to move mountains, and I can't wait to see it firsthand. And thank you to all my teachers. I appreciate all of you so much, and your desire to serve me every day. Going through the rigorous academic program that ACA has is quite challenging, but it is only manageable because I have such amazing teachers to guide us through. I am beginning to realize just how encouraging it is to have teachers greeting me with a smile on their face. I appreciate you all so much, and I could have not gotten here without you. As my time wraps up here, I am so grateful for the time that I've been given at ACA. Thank you.
C.S. Lewis once said, "There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind." I think he was pretty smart, but it'll be hard to beat this place. From dancing a tango during Guys and Dolls to not knowing a single thing in trivia to online learning, it has definitely been a ride. ACA, you had Benjamin, and then you had Aaron, and now you're about to have had me. Third time's the charm, I guess. As any good favorite child should, I'd like to thank my family, for it is only by their heaven-sent forbearance that I'm still alive. To my father, for being a rock in hard times and for teaching me that perfection is not a necessary attribute for love. You're my hero. To my mother, my dearest companion and the single greatest person I have ever met. If I can grow up to be half as Christ-like as you, I will have been well blessed. To Samuel, Aaron, Phoebe, and Benjamin, thank you for being the best siblings in the world. I can't wait to see how much you'll miss me. Thanks to the teachers who have fostered me in loving Christ and loving others, but especially to Mr. Green for teaching me that magic is not just within our favorite books. And finally, thank you to ACA for your many memories and lessons, for showing me God's infinite compassion and power, for teaching me that love is stronger than hate, that being loud doesn't equal being right, and that Quizlet really does have all the answers. To quote my dear friend Harry Potter, "Take it easy, ACA. It has been totally awesome."
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. It's also what makes this place a home and these people a family. I've been blessed to spend my entire schooling career in a place that has loved me and helped me grow into who I am today. As a student body president, I receive a notebook with words and advice from previous presidents, and in it, Chase Verham wrote to me, "Show this school love. That is my challenge to you." I believe I've been able to do that through student government because I've learned how to love from the great examples I've had in my life. Sure, my teachers have taught me math and science, but more importantly, they have also shown me how to love through their interactions with me. Mrs. Alexander's hugs, Mrs. Hamrick's smile, Mr. Lumberry's high fives after scoring a goal at recess, Mr. Goffin's knot tying, sailing, and no trace camping adventures, Mrs. Dellinger's guitar lessons, Mrs. Osteen's making me and Jax run stairs because we wouldn't shut up, Mrs. Clements cheering us on at the science fair, Mr. Teague's BBC News, Mr. Ingles' ice cream runs, Mr. Green's favorites list, Mr. Barnett's jazz, Mr. P and Mr. Miner's corny jokes, mine and Mr. Herzog's shared love of Euler's identity, Senior Silva's songs, Mr. Aiken's raised eyebrow look, Mrs. Hagen's comments about how handsome my family is, especially Logan, and Mr. Rowe's unmatched ability to make me laugh and smile, even when he is encouraging Sophie to overthrow me as the president. These acts of love and so many more mean the world to me, so thank you, teachers. I love you. Classmates, we've grown up together, and even though we fought, we all know that we truly do love each other. We've had birthday parties, soccer games, field trips to Cherokee, cringing through teen dreams, dodgeball tournaments, way too many ropes courses, midnight mafia, exploring the Wizard Stadium, and we started the soon-to-be-famous Backstreet Betas. We've been a part of 15 state titles, performed 11 shows, won numerous awards and scholarships, and have left a huge impact on the school. I know that we'll be remembered as more than the Corona class. Be proud of what you've accomplished, but more importantly, continue to love in the way that I know you all are able. Thank you for being such great friends, brothers, and sisters. I'll miss you. I love you. Logan and Graham, thank you both for being such great brothers. I know we sometimes don't always get along, but I'm very lucky to call you both my brothers. I'm going to miss you guys. I love you. Mom and Dad, you've taught me and guided me so well these last 18 years, and I'm so grateful for all your sacrifices. Mom, I've enjoyed our art class time and you biking with me while I run this year. I'm going to miss you so much. I love you. Dad, thank you for providing for our family and loving me so well. Watching Survivor and March Madness won't be the same without you. I love you. Goodbye is hard, especially because we miss so many of the things that we had looked forward to for so long. But say goodbye we must. Goodbye to teachers and coaches. Goodbye to these ugly blue roofs. Goodbye to friends. Goodbye to family. I love you all dearly. 1 John 4:19 says, "We love because he first loved us." I can clearly see that love through all the people in this place, and for that I am so grateful. Thank you.
I'm the first in my biological family to reach this stage, the first to have this kind of special day. Getting here was difficult, emotionally straining and tough, but I had help from others when things got rough. There are too many people to say all their names, but I want them to know that I love them all the same. I do, however, want to call out a few, because without them I don't know what I'd do. First, my brother, Cameron. I can't say it enough. Thank you for never, ever giving up. Together we've been through thick and thin. Foster care was arduous, but we made it to the end. I am so honored to have you by my side. My love for you is just too hard to hide. Next, my parents. They are my heroes. They helped me through all my highs and all my lows. They paved the way for me to succeed, for which I am most thankful indeed. I know I have not been the most perfect daughter, but for me, you are the perfect mother and father. My grandparents, aunts, and uncles also had a role in helping me to achieve this goal. Thank you so much for all the love. You truly are a gift from the one above. My grandfathers are not alive today, but they too guided me along my way. Lastly, thank you to the Academy, the teachers, faculty, and students that make up its anatomy. You've changed my life, made me better. I for sure will remember you all forever. To my classmates, growing up with you has been fun, even though it involved me getting severely burned by the sun. Together we've been through all the throes. Every moment was worth it to me, more than you know. I love you, and I thank you for every second. I wish I could stay, but my future beckons.
Faculty, friends, families, what an honor it has been to walk the halls of ACA for 10 years now. Me, being the silly rascal that I am, I've definitely had my fair, but not too fair, share of mischievous acts, like that time last year I rode around the hallways on teacher carts. Good times. Regardless, this school has treated me very well, and I'm thankful for each and every teacher that enlightened me throughout my high school years. Mr. Barnett, thank you for your love of music and the chats that we had about various genres. Mr. Herzog, thank you for your cheerful "good morning" each time you enter the classroom. Mr. P, thank you for being such a chill, awesome dude and for strengthening my love of music for 8 years now. Madame, thank you for your character and for always being there for me whenever I needed someone to talk to. Mr. Miners, thank you for your sense of humor and for introducing me to Dave Ramsey. Miss Mack, thank you for helping us throughout the difficult SIP process, yet still introducing humor in class. Dr. Burnett, thank you for your love of history and all the friendly chats that we had. And thank you to the many, many more teachers who I have not mentioned here, as well as my friends who are always there for me. You all hold a special place in my heart. Most importantly, I'd like to sincerely thank my parents for everything they've done for me. They have worked nonstop in order for me to attend this school, and words cannot describe how grateful I am for their efforts and their love. In conclusion, I would like to thank everyone who has helped me throughout my experience at ACA. I pray that you keep up the amazing work that you are doing, and I know that God has great plans for all of you. Thank you all very much.
I came to ACA halfway through my 8th grade year with a hardened heart. I was upset that I had to leave everything that I'd gotten used to and try something new, and I was afraid. I was holding on to things that I thought were best for me. It took me 18 years to see God and accept Him. I came to ACA halfway through my 8th grade year with a hardened heart. I leave ACA with a God-fearing one. When I look back and see how stubborn I was, it was almost mind-blowing, because all I really needed to do was let go and breathe. My head is always consumed with what ifs, but God says, "Be still and know I am God." When I say how, He says done. The moment we truly let go and call on Him are the moments I find myself in awe, because all we really must do is call His name. When I'm struggling with school and work, God shows His love through my teachers. The teachers here are truly amazing, and they are half of the reason I know God today. The other half is my mom. When I look at her, all my worries melt away. She is my lighthouse. Her constant pursuit of God is admirable. Never failing to answer a question I have, she is an open book ready to serve. I pray I become half of the woman she is today. Amani, if it wasn't for you, I don't think I would be able to make it through ACA. Your composed demeanor is outstanding, and you're the best example of loving I can think of. I come to you at my lowest, and you welcome me with open arms. I want to thank you for being such a great role model. I look up to you every day. You are my best friend, and I love you. Thank you, Miss Rich. Thank you, Dad and Roz. Thank you, Sierra. And thank you, ACA.
It's now my pleasure to present the Christian Citizenship Award. The Christian Citizenship Award is presented to one young man and one young lady of the senior class. The Christian Citizenship Award evokes 1 Timothy 4:12, which says, "Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity." This young man and young lady certainly do just that. They are each also described as dependable, mindful, generous, strong students, caring, leaders, and exceptional listeners. It is not a coincidence that both of these students serve as chaplains. We do not provide this award to build up a false sense of pride, but because these students have thoughtfully and intentionally pointed others to Jesus Christ. It is my pleasure to present the Christian Citizenship Award to Mary Taylor Jackson and Jonathan Andrews.
In searching for a list of my accomplishments at ACA, only 3 things really came to the surface. Winning the 5th grade recess tetherball championship, being dubbed Mary Taylor the Orderly on Narnia Day in 3rd grade. I was the quiet kid, so they didn't really know what to do with me. And finally, not being the one to accidentally kill our class rabbit, Snowball, in 1st grade. ACA has been my second home for 14 years. As a lifer here at the Academy, I've grown a lot. Yes, the academics have shaped me, but it's the people here that make the school unique. Our teachers are real-life superheroes. I mean, they survived the class of 2020, which was once considered one of the worst classes in ACA history. These teachers push us, encourage us in our faith, and truly care about us as people. I also want to thank my dear friends, teammates, and peers for the memories, the laughs, and the loving support. Suffice to say, the people at ACA are rare gems, almost as rare as ITOS winning a tribe competition. Thanks to my family, my grandparents, for the sincere love and support. Dad, for showing me what real love for Jesus means, and for always cleaning the waffle iron even though you hate it. Marmy, for sacrificing for me daily, and for never ceasing to have a crazy quote. Thomas, for being my big bro, and for giving me a hard time about my feminist opinions. Janie, for being the very silliest goose, and my forever best friend. I can't wait to tell people I'm related to a famous baker. The world beyond this blue tin roof is daunting, but I'm thrilled to see who we'll become. In the words of our beloved math teacher, Mr. Beaver, be careful out there.
There is an incredible amount of selflessness required for parents to set their child up for success to the degree that my parents have done for me. Throughout my time at ACA, I have done everything in my power to mess it up for myself, but the unwavering patience, love, discipline, and support from my parents never failed to redirect my path when I fell off track. Perhaps the best decision my parents ever made for me was to send me to this wonderful school. From age 5 to senior year, I have been surrounded with amazing teachers who have always been willing to challenge me spiritually and academically. From my coaches, I learned the quality of humility as I was benched in sport after sport until I found football, the game where teamwork and brotherhood translates to wins more closely than skill and talent. I spent 7 years in lower school trying to tell everyone that I was the best. I spent 3 years in middle school finding out that I was the worst, and I spent 4 years in high school finding out why God tends to do the most through people who know they're the worst. In my case, God had to allow my own sandcastle to crumble in order to get me to start on building his kingdom. All throughout the Bible, God begins to use people when they recognize their own insufficiency. And I came out of middle school with braces, a couple of burned bridges, and a damaged pride. As I came into high school, I had been emptied of the worthless idols that were hindering my ability to surrender to God. He began to provide, like he always does, and he filled my life with opportunities and relationships so much greater than I had planned. Yet another sandcastle of mine goes crumbling down as my senior year gets RKO'd by a virus, and yet to focus on what I'm losing would be to ignore the lessons God has taught me. God's plan is enough.
It's truthfully hard to condense 15 years of experience into a minute and a half. If I need to say anything, though, I just wish that I took the time to slow down and enjoy my last few years, because everything slipped away so fast, especially when my time actually here ended rather prematurely. Nonetheless, I'd like to thank all of my teachers from preschool to now for helping me work through my talents and maybe my stubborn nature. For my friends in my class of 2020 and the grades below, thanks for keeping my spirits up when I really needed it. Isabella, thanks for being a chill little sister. I brag about you all the time, and I know you'll do great in high school. Ethan, I hope you and I get to go to college in the fall real soon, and I know that you're doing great things at Covenant. To my mom and dad, thank you for taking care of me, and I'm very glad that I have a place that I can always call home. To everyone else that came into my life, thanks for making me into the person I am today. Though I'm out the door at this point, I promise not to be a stranger to Asheville as I move on with my life. Thanks for everything.
I would like to begin my speech by thanking my parents.
They have pushed me throughout high school and made sure that I've done my best. Next, I would like to thank my sister, who has been a pillar for me to lean upon, and has related to many of the problems that I've gone through. To my classmates, this has definitely been an experience. I have many memories at this school that I won't forget. I don't know what will come in the future, and there is a lot of chaos going on right now. But what I can say is that I am excited to see who all of my classmates become. I see potential in all of you, and I think all of you are bright and unique in your own ways. I am sure you will all shock and surprise me. If Alex Runes doesn't become a millionaire, /president, or Lydia Basham doesn't become a successful artist who marries a rich European and lives in a grand castle, if Matthew Moore doesn't come up with some grand yet weird invention that makes him millions, I will be surprised. To say the least, I know all of you are extraordinary people, and I could go on, but I only have 90 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw many of you on the news or on the cover of some magazine. I know all of you will do great in life, and with that, I give my final adieu.
My favorite quote from The Fox and the Hound says that goodbye may seem forever, farewell seems like the end, but in my heart's a memory, and there you'll always be. It is crazy to think that my time in high school is coming to a close. ACA has been a home for me the past 4 years, and I will miss many aspects of this unique school. ACA has provided me with numerous opportunities throughout my 4 years. I have performed on the stage in multiple shows, ran on the cross-country team, and traveled across the world. I am so grateful to have been a part of these experiences, and am thankful to those that influenced and cared about me throughout. Thank you, Mom, for investing your time, money, and effort so that I was able to attend ACA, and for, like me, being late to everything. Dad, thanks for teaching me to never give up on schoolwork or anything I come across in life. Jacob, thanks for paving the way for me at ACA and being my older brother. Also, thanks for working at Disney World so I can get a discount to the parks. I appreciate that. I love you all, and I am thankful to be a part of this family. Thank you to my teachers who have taught me valuable life lessons throughout my high school career. Senor, for teaching your students about Desafíos Mundiales and the Spanish culture throughout the world. Te amo y te extrañaré, mi hermano. Dr. B, for bringing A-Push classes donuts and believing in his students' abilities. Mr. Green, for trivia, the hero's journey, and making literature fun and exciting. And Mr. Aiken, for the gift of music and art in the upper school and never giving up on me no matter what. ACA will always be a special place and influence children and teens for many years. It will hold a special place in my heart, and I hope no one ever takes it for granted. I'm excited to come back next year and continue to see the impact that this school has on its students. I'm going to end this speech with my favorite saying that ACA's drama director, Ms. Stroud, always says before a show. Do what you know, because what you know is good. Seniors, I know that this is a crazy time, and we're all moving on to new places and about to embark on a new journey. But there's no reason to worry, because we're going to do what we know, and what we know is good.
As I am reflecting my time here at Asheville Christian Academy, I cannot believe that just 13 years ago I was walking into school for the first time as a kindergartner, and here in just a few days I will be leaving school for the last time. Thank you to all the faculty and staff for always believing in me and supporting me. Thank you to the class of 2020. I cannot believe some of us have been together since kindergarten, and now we're graduating. I also would like to thank you for all the fun times we've had together as a class. To Jordan, Sarah, Whitney, and Stephen, you're like siblings to me, and I want to thank you for the support and love that you've shown for me over the years. Grandpa, Aunt Tammy, and Uncle Donnie, thank you for always being there for me and for guiding me down the right path. Thank you, Reagan, for sticking by me through the ups and downs. I've had many fond memories with you and cannot wait to make many more. To Samantha, my twin sister, you have been with me since day one. I am so glad I've gotten to share my life with you, and I cannot wait for the next chapter of our lives as we attend UNCA together.
Mom, thank you for always being there for me when I need someone to talk to. I also want to thank you for always supporting me through thick and thin during my time at Asheville Christian Academy. Dad, I do not know what I'd do without you. You're a rock in both your faith and wisdom, and I am thankful that you have always been there to help guide me. I look forward to seeing what God has in store for the class of 2020 as we start the next chapter of our lives.
When I moved here from my home in Virginia during my sophomore year of high school, I was a little worried about what my future held. I had grown up and lived my entire life in the same place, and I had made more than a few friends who would not be able to make the journey with me. It was a stressful time in my life, and I think I would have panicked even more if it wasn't for the calm that my parents held. Throughout all of the stress and worry I had during the entire trip, my parents were an anchor that held me in place and helped me stay focused and secure. Every time I was worried about starting a new school or meeting new people, they reassured me and gave me confidence not to panic too much. And it turned out that they were right. ACA turned out to be a welcoming and wonderful place, and I had been a bit too presumptive in thinking that I would never make new friends. ACA has been good to me these past few years, and for that I am extremely grateful. I may not have attended here for as long as some of my classmates, but I am able to say that ACA is a home that I am glad to have been a part of. So thank you to all my teachers these past few years, and thank you to all the staff that I've had the privilege of knowing and meeting. But most of all, thank you to my parents who have been there with me through the entire trip.
My first year at ACA was rough. I had come to play baseball, but ended up missing the entire season with Tommy John. But luckily for me, I had just moved to ACA, so I was surrounded by people who were willing to help me through that. I would like to thank my coaches for staying on me during my recovery. I think that the best thing that happened to me moving here was meeting those three guys. Coach Coxey, who has been a great friend and mentor for the last 3 years, and Coach Zaccaro, who has been the exact same, and is now going to be the new head coach of the baseball program. Even though our season didn't end this year the way we wanted it to, I feel 100 times better knowing that the guys I've played with and the team I've been blessed to be a part of is going into the right hands. And then there's Coach Ruckle, and I really don't know where to begin. I have played for Coach Ruckle for years, and I've never had a coach who's invested in me and took as much time on me in my entire life. He's an amazing coach and a wonderful man, and I've been blessed to have him as a coach. And it's really hard to say goodbye to these guys because they're like my family, and they've taught me so much on and off the field, and I cannot thank them enough.
Asheville Christian Academy is not always an easy place to be, but sometimes that is good. It has taken me all 8 years that I've been here to fully acknowledge that there is greatness in what is not always simple. I'm so happy I was able to grow up around people and teachers who pushed me to be better, listened when I needed it, and checked in on my life outside of school. Doc, thank you for refusing to tolerate my self-detrimental nature and demonstrating Christ-like kindness. Señor, gracias por su compasión y deseo entender las vidas de otras personas. Mr. P, music has become my refuge, and without you calling me to your table at registration in 7th grade, I'm not sure if I would have found the love for it that I do. Mr. Aiken, the orchestra only comes to life with your help in at least pretending to control our chaos. Thank you for teaching the nonsense behind music theory, as well as to love the process and not just the outcome. Thank you to my parents for supporting me in what I love more than I could have ever asked for. Thank you, Mom, for listening and helping me with life more than anyone could have, and that it's okay to not be perfect. Dad, thank you for teaching me about horses and that you can in fact show love and kindness. Love in silence. To my classmates, thank you for teaching me to complain way too much about every minor inconvenience. It's clearly a great trait. In all seriousness, I'm so thankful for the study hall spent stealing cupcakes from the teacher's lounge, riding around on stand carts, and everything in between. It's hard to accept that our time was cut so short, but it let us rejoice in every twist and turn.
As Mary Poppins once said, with every task when it's complete, there's a sense of bittersweet, that moment when you know the task is done. While it is time to move on, I'm glad to see where we go. Au revoir, or goodbye until we meet again.
"13 years at ACA has felt like 13 seconds. My first day in kindergarten, I refused to leave my mom crying and holding her hand. Now I'm crying because I do not want to leave this place where I've made so many friends and memories. At first, we were all nothing more than classmates, but now we have planned our future together. I have learned so many valuable lessons from this school, and most of those things did not come from a book. From starting volleyball in 6th grade to finishing the season with an amazing bond with my teammates and even taking home a state title, I would not trade those moments for anything. This taught me to believe in others even in times of defeat. From seeing friends come and go throughout the years to even forming new ones, I learned to always love people well no matter the circumstances. And lastly, forming bonds with my teachers, who are some of the most amazing people I've ever gotten to know. I have learned so many life lessons and become closer to Christ through my teachers. I would like to thank a special few. Miss Mack, who worked day and night to perfect our senior projects, and for treating every student like children of her own. Mr. Engel, who is constantly checking on everyone and who brightened my days every time I walk by his office. And thank you to Coach Render, who has seen me grow as a person and a player, and who has always pushed me to be my best. All of my teachers have become mentors in my life and have shown me the love of Christ through them. To my parents, thank you for your constant support, love, and everything you've blessed me with. Thank you for the many opportunities you've opened up for me, like volleyball and ACA. You've brought out the best version of myself throughout the years with your guidance. You're my biggest fans, and I'm so lucky to call you my parents. And a last thank you to my adopted grandparents, Ron and Bev, who never missed a volleyball game or tournament for anything. My biggest cheerleaders, and have always had a very special place in my heart. Although my time at ACA is coming to an abrupt and unusual end, I'm lucky to say I'm alive for here. I know I'll always be able to look back at the memories I've made here and the bonds that will never be broken.
When I first moved to America from Jamaica, it was really nerve-wracking for me because I was moving into an all new environment with different faces. But from my freshman year to my senior year, I have learned a lot about this culture. ACA has taught me so much through these years, and I would love to thank all the teachers that have had an impact on my life. Y'all really helped me up a lot. But most of all, I would love to thank the most beautiful, wonderful people in the world, my parents. Thank you for being with me from the start to the end. I want you to know how greatly appreciative I am of you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So I would just want to say a big thank you. I love you. And don't think I forgot about you, sis, although you have been a big headache all these years. I say this in the nicest way possible. There's no better friend than a sister. A big I love you to you, Elizabeth. Thank you for always being by my side. I will say this with all due respect. Coming from Jamaica, I have never been around so many white people. As a matter of fact, I have never been around white people at all. But when I came to the school, I met some of the craziest, nicest people ever, and I'm truly going to miss y'all. For my conclusion, what I would love to say as I graduate from ACA is peace, see you on the flip side.
Where to begin? Being a lifer means I have spent approximately 16,380 hours in the halls of ACA, supposing my math was correct because I've never really been that good. I can look back now and say that I am well prepared for the future ahead of me. I want to first thank my wonderful teachers who have put up with my loud, obnoxious self for my many years at ACA. I could not have accomplished what I have today without your love and support every step of the way. Mitchell, thank you for being the best brother I could ask for. I know I make fun of you constantly and try to make you be my slave, but I want you to know I wouldn't trade you for the world. Padre, you have always been my rock and showed me how to truly love others. You always know what to say. Your words of wisdom, although sometimes hard to hear, always speak so much truth. Mama, You are a fireball of love and craziness who can never fail to brighten my day. I can't put into words how much you mean to me, and I could never imagine anyone else as my mama. I would also like to honor someone who has been such an inspiration in my life. Although she is no longer here on this earth, I know she is smiling down from heaven. Dear Grandmommy, I miss you so much, and I have always wanted to make you proud. You were one of my first teachers, showing my little fingers how to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on the piano. You showed me that nothing in life comes easy, and you must give your all to accomplish great things. You truly are the world's best piano teacher. To my class of 2020, I know that these last 3 months have not been ideal or what we had hoped for, but through it all, we have learned a lesson about life. No one knows what is in store for their future. The only one knows who is God. Cliché, I know, but these past few months have really opened my eyes to the power and humility of God. As we, the class of 2020, go about our lives, we will always remember our senior year and will hopefully use it as a way to humble ourselves in our developing adulthood. I remember the first time I entered the doors of Asheville Christian Academy. I was 13 years old watching the fine arts production Wizard of Oz, and I said, "This is what I've been waiting for," as I looked at my mother. The following year, I found myself walking the halls as an 8th grader, and ever since I have had unbelievable opportunities. The fine arts program taught me humility, the academics taught me diligence, and the people taught me how to recognize God's love and challenged me to be better. The class of 2020 has experienced a chaotic mixture of sadness and acceptance. However, we are here together in spirit to celebrate the beginning of the rest of our lives. I thank each student for being a part of my high school experience, as each one of you brings a story to my mind. To my teachers, I'm grateful for the love you express to each student as if we are children of your own. You've allowed me to grow spiritually and mentally, which I will continue to do in the upcoming chapter of my life. Mom, you are my mentor. You have taught me that hard work and responsibility is rewarding and is dedicated to God's glory. I hope I can fill the shoes you left in New York and accomplish my dreams just like you did. I love you and will miss you dearly. Dad, thank you for supporting me in whatever I do and caring for me and Sadie. I love you. Sadie Bajady, you are the light of my life. Your spunky personality and loving heart encourages me to let go a little and enjoy life as much as I can. I will miss my little sister more than anything. As we start adulting and say goodbye to the precious memories from this place, I pray that we are successful and prosperous. Thank you, Asheville Christian Academy, for being my second home for these past 5 years, and though it's time to move, I will cherish the days I spent here.
How time flies. A few years ago, I could never have imagined that I would have the courage and ability to study abroad, not to mention graduating and heading to college in America. In 2018, I convinced my parents and made the decision to come to Asheville. Unlike crowded city I had been to before in America, I discovered a quiet and peaceful community. Here I met a lot of great people who gave me many things and empowered me both physically and spiritually. The dedication and passion of all the faculty show me what it means to work with a heart of caring, as well as working for the honor of God. Hearts with Hands, tribe competitions, being a teacher assistant, all of these have made me into a person who is positive about new challenges. I will never forget my friends, classmates, friendship, and all the kindness. We tell jokes, hang out together, and help each other. Speaking of my life here, I want to talk about my host family, the Lee family. I love the Lee family. I will never forget all the good food they cook for me and the coffee Mrs. Lee makes every morning. I will never forget the help and patience Mr. Lee gave me whenever I have technology problems, or the funny jokes told by Kevin and Brian. I will never forget the memories we created together and kindness and understanding that made me feel so much at home. Most importantly, I want to thank my parents in China. You raised me up no matter what. You have always been behind me, cheering and encouraging me. Whenever I think of your loving eyes and inspiring words, I can stand tall and be fearless. I love you.
ACA has been my home for 13 years, and now this chapter in the book of my life is coming to an end. And I know it sounds cliche, but I honestly never thought that this day would come. So considering that it has, I need to thank all the people who got me here. First off, I need to thank all of my teachers. You guys make this place very unique and special, and I can't thank all of you because every single one of you have had an amazing impact on my life, so thank you, and I love you all. I also need to thank my friends, John, Elliot, Samuel, Alex, Harrison, Luca, Asher, and Sam. All of these people that I have just mentioned have uniquely impacted me and just made my experience at ACA more special than it ever could have been without them, and I thank you guys very much. Whether it was playing lunch chess or playing backyard football or arguing about politics, it was a fantastic time. I also need to thank Coach Sperling for believing in me and giving me a shot to be the Asheville Saints quarterback and win a championship. But most importantly, I need to thank my parents. You guys have sacrificed so much to get me here, and also my grandparents. Thank you so much, and I love you too. And finally, I need to thank ACA and Mr. George. Thank you for making this a place that I could call home for 13 years. It has been a fantastic ride, and now I can finally say that that is a wrap. Thank you.
Three years ago, when I decided to transfer to ACA, I really had one reason for wanting to come, and that was to play basketball. The Christian environment was an added bonus, but I hardly knew anyone other than some of the basketball team, and I had no intention of really changing this or getting involved in any other areas. 3 years later, looking back on my time at ACA, I could not be more thankful that I changed this, ultimately allowing me to have the best 3 years of my life. Yes, basketball at ACA has given me some of the most fun moments of my life, from beating Christ School, traveling to state semifinals, winning conference championships, or just spending time with my teammates. But ACA has been much more than just on the court for me. I have made countless new friendships, enjoyed drama presentations that I would never have previously attended, and made memories that I will never forget. I have had the pleasure of building relationships with my teachers over these years, and they are without a doubt the best teachers that I have ever had or ever will have. Their love and care for the students is evident in the way they teach, but even more apparent in the way they treat kids outside of the classroom. I want to say thank you to everyone at ACA, from teachers, students, and even parents, for making these 3 years the best it could have been. Making the decision to come to ACA turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made, and now as I move on to the next phase of my life, I will always be grateful for my time here.
In all my short years, I've never been more equipped to face the battle call of life than in my time at ACA. Instead of land, air, and sea, the fights in my life are of body, mind, and spirit. Through sport, my body has developed to face future challenges. Through study, my mind has sharpened to discover and discern truth. Through prayer, my spirit has been made steadfast to serve the one greater than I. In this way, I have fought all my life and will continue to fight until I die. Fighting gives opportunity for growth and discovery of your talents. However, this all comes at a cost. Fighting alone is exhausting, and trying to do it all by yourself leads only to your own self-destruction. Trust me, I have tried it. If we cannot fight alone, are we then to surrender? I think not. Unfortunately, many walk this road that leads to complacency and the despair of abilities left uncultivated and dreams unfulfilled. If we cannot fight alone, we cannot surrender. What are we then to do? Fortunately, there is a third option. We do not fight alone. Primarily, we have the God of all creation loving us and wishing the best for us no matter our own failings. Additionally, we have the strength that comes from the bonds of the other people. I know that without my parents, sisters, teachers, and friends, my battles would have been lost long ago. Words can never truly describe how grateful I am to them. It is okay to lean on others in times of need. Fighting alone does not make you weak. Fighting alongside others makes you stronger. And so, my dearest friends, I ask of you one thing as we venture ever onward in our lives. Rely on those you love, stand and fight.
Well, I finally got here. After these long and stressful years, I finally graduated. Thank to all that have pushed me to get this far. Thank you to my teachers that have helped me and guided me through these years of school. Thank you, teachers, for not only giving me the knowledge to get to this point in my life, but also being a friend when I needed one. Whether it was just to listen to my life struggles or give me advice on my life decisions. Thank you to my mom and dad for pushing me and supporting me through these long years of school. I know it hasn't been easy for you, but thank you. Thank you to my sister Elizabeth, my friends Faith, Gerald, and Kim Wilkie, and the rest of my family for the support and the advice you all have given me. I have grown a lot from knowing nothing to knowing about algebra, biology, Shakespeare, and the history of this country. Not only has my knowledge expanded on my education, but my knowledge in life has too. My wisdom has expanded through life lessons and the people that I have encountered through the years. I have learned many things and have matured to be the young man I am today. And I thank everyone that has been a part of that. Thank you.
God has been good to give me not only cherished memories at this school, but more importantly, people who have loved and influenced me. First, thank you to my teachers who have shown me the character of Christ. Ms. Kreisen, thanks for always being there to talk with. Mrs. Goffin, thank you for your kindness and gentle spirit. I hope one day you can be my children's honorary grandmother. To my family, Mom and Dad, thank you for loving me constantly. Dad, I strive to be as generous as you. Mom, you have the strength of God in you. You encourage me by your faith and hope in Jesus Christ. You are always there for me. Anna, Bethany, and Drew, thanks for being my best friends. I have looked up to you three my entire life. People say that I remind them of my siblings, maybe due to genes, but maybe because I always copy the things I admire about them. And to my coaches, you have changed my life. I love basketball, and I am in awe of the way God uses the game and the people I meet through it for my good. Dear Williams family, thank you for coaching and supporting me past basketball and in my life as well. John and Joey, I cherish all the good times. Thank you for always having my back. You guys are my role models. I couldn't leave without thanking my friends for not bullying me. I know it's hard. As my classmates and I celebrate moving on into adulthood, I'd like to end with Deuteronomy 31:8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. May we continue to find truth in God's word, hope in our Savior, and joy in his love for us.
Since my first day of middle school in 6th grade, I knew that 8 hours of classes at ACA weren't my strong suit. For a time, I struggled to find why some people could love, much less like, such an academically challenging school. However, over the past few years, I have grown to love my teachers, my close friends, and the school that I once took for granted. While there have been things that I most certainly have not enjoyed, like Miss Hagan's anatomy tests, and Miss Coffin's 35 lines of Macbeth, which I never could remember, I wouldn't change any of it. Well, maybe. Thank you, teachers, for your dedication not only to our education, but to leading us in our faith. Thank you to my parents for your sacrifices so that I can go to ACA, and for also not pushing me to overexert myself in every class. I would also like to thank my sister, Caitlin, for being positive and kind even when I'm not. While I won't remember the different muscles of the cat, I definitely won't forget when I spent a month in Alaska with my friend Will, my team winning the turkey chase, kayak sledding, or the year-long game of tag with my friends. After my years in high school, I've learned that studying for hours to ace every test and quiz is not that important after all, because at the end of the day, your grade point average isn't very important if you're not making friends along the way.
All throughout my life, I felt like I needed someone as a crutch to support me. I have needed countless hours on homework because of dyslexia, long gruesome doctor's visits because of my panda's infection, and never fully felt like I can achieve things on my own. Now that I've made it through high school, I learned that I am capable of living life without a crutch and that I can figure things out on my own. Last summer, my parents let me and 3 of my friends go to Mount Hood, Oregon to snowboard. We ended up being special guests at a summer camp. This trip gave me an opportunity to be in a snowboard movie with a lot of friends and some that were pros. Everyone should find a community like this where they feel welcome and can flourish. The second time I had to figure things out on my own was last year right after Wintram. I was in San Francisco all by myself with an 8-hour layover. I decided to take advantage of this opportunity and take an Uber to leave the airport and explore San Francisco. I took 8 Ubers that day and had a sense of euphoria as I walked around San Francisco. At one point I was walking around Chinatown and had a realization I was really all by myself with my parents halfway across the country. Knowing I can do whatever I want when I want and I don't have to rely on others feels great. I would like to thank Miss Brown for taking up her Saturdays to help me on my ACT, and I'd like to thank Mr. Beaver for always being available and helping me and being encouraging. Lastly, I'd like to thank Mr. Ruckle for handing me an encouraging note during a test. Well, it was an unexpected ending, but at least high school's over.
The past several weeks have been unforgettable in a number of ways. Global pandemic, virtual learning, social distancing, masks, toilet paper wars, contactless delivery, 6 feet spacing, grocery store one-way aisles, and empty shelves. However, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118. I would like to thank everyone who has had a great impact on me. I have grown up in the Russian Orthodox Church, which has not only strengthened my personal relationship with God, but has also helped fortify the foundations of my life. I am grateful for God's abundant blessings, one of which is my wonderful family. Thank you to my loving and supportive parents who have instilled in me a strong work ethic and a passion for humbly serving others. Thank you to my wonderful sister Katie for all the special childhood memories. I also thank God for blessing me with incredible teachers and mentors at ACA who have prepared me well for my future ahead. Mr. Green, thank you for teaching me to think critically and write diligently. Mr. Beaver, happy Friday. Thank you for your upbeat personality and clear explanations of standard math concepts. Mr. Herzog, thank you for helping me to build a foundation in calculus and statistics. For those in stats, I am 95% confident that the true mean of experience gained will help me succeed in higher level math. Mr. Zaccaro, thank you for sharing your passion for technology and robotics. From Hebrews 12, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Thank you to ACA, my fellow seniors, and all those who have loved and supported me. I am grateful to each of you. Thank you.
Oh, Alex. So let me say a few words about Alex. These are words from his teachers and from me. So the Headmaster's Award is awarded to the student who best demonstrates a servant's heart in his or her relationship with students and teachers in the spirit of Matthew 20:25 through 28, where Jesus outlines the great truth that if you want to be great, you must become a servant to others. Very faithful, true to his word, compels others around him to higher standards, willing to work and bring projects to fruition, more concerned with what is right before the Lord than what will make him popular. These are the expressions of the faculty towards this year's Headmaster's Award recipient. There's more. Dependable, conscientious, tenacious, diligent, focused, goal-oriented, organized. Alex Rudens is a reliable and kind-hearted person that gives his whole being to the service of others. He has a quiet way of serving, often on the sidelines with other students, but sometimes front and center to help his teachers. He will go far. Amazingly enough, when he is not volunteering, he runs and owns his own business. Alex was considerate to his classmates, volunteered to pray in class, often thanked his teachers after each class session before leaving, and was extremely humble. He didn't have to draw attention to himself, even though he always knew the answer. He is one of the most gentle, kind students to grace our hallways. By way of closing, in the words of one of Alex's teacher, Alex Rudin single-handedly collected all the recycling in the upper school, or so it seemed, because he knows it is the right thing to do. When he assisted the lower school after-school cross-country running program, helping Mrs. Barbara Green, he would volunteer to run and set up the entire course, setting out cones for the little kids to follow, again, because it was the right thing to do. Those are two examples of the selflessness and maturity and Johnny-on-the-spot spirit Alex brings to every enterprise he is attaching himself to. He gives and serves and volunteers more than anyone else, and humbly does not expect or seek praise or recognition, which makes it all the sweeter that he's the perfect candidate for the 2020 Headmaster's Award. Alex, come on over here.
I would like to start out with saying it has been fun. I've enjoyed the great memories I've made over the past 5 years, including singing with the Backstreet Betas, playing baseball and ultimate frisbee with two fantastic teams, and taking a great trip to Washington, D.C. with my fellow senior class. I'm going to miss Mr. Beaver's friendly good mornings, Miss Max crackling candles, asking Dr. Burnett, "What's up?" and him responding with, "History, my friend, history." And finally, the loosely connected exit signs and Mr. Zaccaro's brand new face recognition cameras. I would like to thank Mr. Tapp for always reminding me to put my ACA outerwear on. And lastly, I would like to give my family, the teachers and faculty, a big thank you for making ACA great. I had a blast.
As my senior year comes to an end, it's hard to think about all the good times I've had at ACA. Whether it be the time Alex Roon saved the day by teaching our struggling algebra 1 class a lesson, getting to explore New York with all my friends, or just a simple day surrounded by the staff and peers who I love so dearly, I will cherish all the memories I've made at this school. To start, I'd like to thank my family who's always supported me through the obstacles I faced. To my amazing mother, Madre, thank you for being my biggest cheerleader, even when I didn't necessarily want the cheering. I know you'll always be here to have my back and will go mama bear on anyone when or if needed. To my lovely father, Topsters, thank you for always giving me the best advice and making me laugh. Not because the jokes are necessarily funny, but because your reactions to your own jokes are. And to my other half, my beautiful sibling, Chloe, thank God for giving me the best friend I could ever ask for. Thank you for listening to my endless amounts of rants and laughing with me until I cried. I will never get tired of our Pelican runs or late night movie marathons. I'd also like to thank all my wonderful teachers who not only impacted me, but it put in time and effort into my life. Mr. Beaver, who always believed in me, no matter the grade I got on his test. Mr. Green was always so patient and worked to make each class eventful and exciting. Profe, who was there to listen and give the best hugs whenever they were needed. These are just a few examples of the excellent staff that make ACA so great. I know that school could not have been what it was without all the amazing and goofy people in my grade that have become my family. Thank you guys for a wonderful past 5 years. I will miss you all and hope to see you soon.
I've grown through the past 5 years of my ACE career by the hands of my hardworking parents, the amazing friends I've found, and most importantly, Jesus Christ. I've tasted the realities of life, and I've seen those closest to me at some of their lowest points. But at the same time, I've experienced true joy and community in and out of ACA. I find my joy in people who embody Christ. I find my joy in community that I know is continuously pursuing Christ. Lucky for me, I've been guided through life by the best of the best, who do both of these things at ACA, Brookstone Church, and Camp Cedar Cliff. I want to thank my friends here who I've laughed and grown with. You guys give me light, no matter how scattered we might be. To my teachers who work tirelessly to build healthy student-teacher friendships, your effort is never overlooked. Mr. Rowe, Ms. Zanis, and Ms. Hagan, I've learned so many valuable things from each of you. I truly look forward to stopping by your classrooms and just catching up. I can't put into words the gratitude I owe you guys. Thank you for making me feel comfortable and needed and never ever failing to remind me how Jesus is at work in every moment. You guys are amazing. And to my parents, who I've seen struggle through the things they shouldn't have to and make it out the other side walking uprightly. My childhood was filled with Disney princesses, endless stuffed animals, Lucky Charm dinners, and the best birthday parties a girl could ever dream of. And most importantly, it all came from parents who put me first in everything, shielded me from their scary adult realities, and gave me a safe and loving place to call home. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I thank ACA for giving me a platform to reach great opportunities and to give me a safe place to learn more about God and His will for my life. That is something I never want to take for granted about this place. Thank you.
First off, I just want to thank God for all He's done for me in my life. I'd like to thank all my teachers for teaching me and guiding me these last 4 years of my life in high school. Special thanks to Miss Mack for teaching me the past 2 years and helping me with all my SIP stuff. Next, I'd like to thank all my coaches, Coach Johnson, Coach Ruckle, Coach Carl, and Coach Coxey. Coach Ruckle, you asked the class my freshman year who wants to play baseball, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to, but I've never played before. You said that's fine, still come out. So I did, and I played all of high school, and I thank you for that. Next, I'd like to thank all my friends for making my high school experience fun. Special thanks to Maddie, Colin, Matt, Aiden, Cade, Bear, Cameron, Emma, Claire, Hannah D, Hannah C, and Kaylee. I would also like to thank Miss Bellows and the Hefner family. Thank you for all that you've done for me. I'd like to thank my grandmother for always showing unconditional love and supporting me. Next, I'd like to thank my grandfather. Thank you for always being there for me the first couple years of my life and being my best friend. Not a day goes by where I don't think about you. I hope I've made you proud. Last, I'd like to thank my mom. Thank you for loving me and teaching me how to grow up and be a man. I know it was probably hard sometimes being a single mom, but I never saw you struggle. You always made sure I was good and made sure I had everything that I needed and wanted, and I thank you for that. I know I don't say it a lot and maybe don't show it a lot, but I love you and I'm glad I have you as my mom. I can't wait to see what each of us do in the next chapter of our lives. I hope we are all successful and we can all see each other again.
I came to ACA as a sophomore and quickly found a very strong base of friends. These people are what made high school for me. We have made a lot of funny memories, most of which made us look like buffoons, and a couple of which about got us killed. I think that when I'm an old, decrepit man looking back on high school, I won't think about the classes. Rather, I'll remember the silly things we did, a few of which are getting up on stage in front of hundreds of people and singing I Want It That Way with the Backstreet Betas, making a music video of Big Green Tractor with Reese dressed as a woman, and playing it for a film festival, winning back-to-back People's Choice Awards for both of those things, playing a year-long game of tag through the ACA halls, and going to Alaska to work for a man Caleb and I had talked to twice. ACA has prepared me very well for my academic future, and while I did not always enjoy what that entailed, I am grateful for it. However, I am more grateful for the friends that I made these ridiculous memories with. Reese and Jonathan, you have constantly challenged me and helped me to grow in my faith, and that has had a real impact on my life. Caleb, we have done some hairy stuff together, like climbing the wrong side of a mountain and coming face-to-face with grizzly bears and moose, part 2 coming soon. We regularly seem to get in situations where we shouldn't be laughing, and we are, but it's funny and I wouldn't change it. Thank you for motivating my adventurous side. To my parents, thank you for listening to my ideas and helping me achieve them. To my siblings, thank you for keeping me on my toes. To my grandparents, thank you for constantly being so loving and generous and supporting me in everything I do. Thank you to all of my teachers, especially senior. And mostly, I thank God for giving me the opportunity to go to this school where I met all these people.
I've said school isn't fun for as long as I can remember, but now here I stand after 13 long years looking back down the road and reminiscing on all the good times. I wish I hadn't taken the majority of high school for granted. And funny enough, the song I've enjoyed most is Good Old Days by Macklemore, which is funny because it's not my kind of music at all, but the message gets me in times like this. We can't take things for granted because the second we do, they can be ripped away from us in a heartbeat, and then we're left standing there looking back on the good old days. My high school experience will always be a fond memory, and I'm quite sure of that. The people I've met along the way have really changed my life, and I couldn't be more grateful. Philippians 1:6 comes to mind when thinking about graduation. It says, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. We've all reached the point where we start to heavily think about the future and what it's going to be like, but at the end of the day, we're going to rejoice with Jesus. I'm not much of a future dweller because I love to live in the moment and try to have as much fun as possible. If you asked me even a year ago, could I see myself singing I Want It That Way on stage in front of a couple hundred people, the answer would have been a resounding no. However, that memory is probably in my top 3 favorite moments of high school, and I will always cherish that. I've had stage fright ever since pre-K graduation until some strange occurrence happened, and there I was, standing on a stage having the time of my life. On a stage that I thought would only be to step a few feet on to walk across and grab a diploma. So with all this, I would like to thank my friends who made school so much fun over the years. I would also like to thank the people that became like family over the years and have made the tough times a little bit easier. And lastly, I want to thank my parents for sacrificing so much just to put me through a good school system. Thank you all. And just because I didn't say any cliches before this, it's a see you later, not a goodbye. Always remember that.
Our high school years have finally ended, and quite honestly, I'm more than ready to move on from all the chaos. I first came to ACA in 7th grade, and the following years have certainly been an adventure. I've stuck with the boys through countless adventures like the 7th grade caving trip, 8th grade Charleston trip, all the winterim adventures, and most of all, the countless experiences shared outside ACA's walls, like the firecracker incident while camping a few years back, and many others which I probably shouldn't mention here. School hasn't necessarily been easy for me, as an overbearing load of homework is not something that I'm particularly fond of receiving each night, and having to wake up at 6 a.m. every day is a routine that should only be practiced by superhumans. However, despite all the hardships, I have formed a lasting group of friends, commonly known as the boys, who have made all the troubles more than worth it. If I could, I would give a shout out to each and every one of you, but you all know who you are. I've missed getting down to some mad shenanigans in the halls, but hey, that's what summer's for, assuming we even have one at this point, fingers crossed. Thanks to everyone who's helped me get this far, most importantly my parents and teachers who have supported me despite all the chaos that comes with high school. I'll miss you in college next year.
When I was 10 years old, our family passed an 18-wheeler carrying chickens on the highway. For a moment, I made piercing eye contact with a single white chicken through its wire cage, and for the next 20 miles, I sobbed into a pillow. Today, I am able to narrow my compassion to one thought. They're all moving so quickly towards their end, but do they fear what lies ahead? This same question reflects my experiences up to today. If life is one long road trip, then I have passed many people to thank for both molding me and giving me assurance for the joy that lies ahead. Mom, you are my best friend. You are selfless. You love with an unrivaled strength and beauty that inspires me. I will always be your Kwati. Dad, you are a picture of the American dream. I will look up to your courage and boldness forever. I am beyond proud to be your daughter. Nina, Daniel, and Robbie, each of you are my role models. Your resilience, integrity, and intellect constantly challenge me to be better. I will be your little sister no matter how far from Westview Lane we go. Y a Señor Silva, gracias. Nunca voy a olvidar el otro lado de la tortilla, y eso es porque tú me lo has enseñado. To all my teachers, I don't have the words to express my love and admiration for you.
You have inspired me to love others as well as each of you love your students. The last 12 years of my life prove that education is a gift, one that is not a reality for millions of students across the globe. This year, I have been blessed and convicted by the truths I encountered in my senior integration project on the National Educational Achievement Gap. Chasms of inequality facilitated by racial prejudice exist, and the achievement gap is proof that unchecked privilege debilitates the futures of under-resourced minorities. Therefore, I want to encourage my classmates to invest in relationships with people different from you, for they are the ones that cultivate mutual respect and understanding. Recently, I found a poem entitled "Passing a Truck Full of Chickens at Night on Highway 80, and after reading it, I feel like its author opened my heart and wrote her poem based on the fears and hopes she found there. I want to share its last few lines. Then I saw the chicken that made me slow some. She had pushed her head through the space between bars to get a better view. She looked around, watched me, then strained to see over the car, strained to see what happened beyond. That is the chicken I want to be. Gracias, ya terminé.
One thing I have learned throughout my high school career is do not be afraid of what others will think of you. Go out on a limb and try new things. Meet new friends. I've always been a quieter person until this year. I came into this year telling myself this was going to be the best year and I was going to grow closer with my class. The trip to DC was by far the highlight of the year and where I grew closer to others. I decided to go find new people and make new friends. Because of that, I was able to find the group of friends I have now, who I'm able to call my best friends. Because of them, I am the reason I've had so many laughs during my senior year. There's been numerous times that I've had hard times in high school, but all I had to do was remember my favorite verse, John 13:7. Jesus said, you do not realize what I'm doing now, but someday you will. Yes, we all go through tough times, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It did not matter what I was having problems with. All I had to do was hear that verse, and I was then good to go because I knew the outcome would be amazing. I want to thank my friends. It does not matter if I'm having problems with school or with my personal life. I know I can always count on them, and they will always be there for me. I want to thank my teachers for also doing the same and always willing to put in extra hours after school to help me through whatever it is I have. And lastly, I want to thank my parents for always pushing me to do my best in school and getting me to where I am today. Time really does fly by. It feels like yesterday I was just starting my first day of my freshman year, and now I'm here graduating. High school has taught me a lot of good lessons that I will carry with me throughout life, and I will never forget the people from school or the amazing memories I have with them. I was always told growing up that time flies by when you're having fun, and I never thought school was fun, but it sure has flown by, so it must have been fun.
I came to ACA from Beijing, a huge city in China. Before I came to America, I was a big fan of the NBA, and LeBron James was my favorite player of all time. I came here to study, but I also wanted to find friends to play sports with a new place to call home. As a Chinese boy who barely spoke English, I felt nervous and homesick. The West were my first host family. They were friendly and patient to explain all the weird names on the menu like fajitas and guacamole. They shared their amazing home gym with me and treated me as a family member, which they still do. My second host family was the Masons. They helped me in many ways and even took me to the cinema almost every month. They introduced me to football and encouraged me when I played. I will never forget that they took me to watch my very first college football game. I loved practicing football with my host brother Wilson after school because I could see his true passion for the game. Now I am living with the Bass family. My host brother Devin Bass has become one of my best friends here. We went to the Ghost gym every day and supported each other in hitting our personal records. We ate out after workouts, though we had a hard time picking a place to eat, since I love Asian food so much. During the quarantine, we built a pull-up station and used weighted bands to get stronger. I'm so grateful for my host parents who have cooked a ton of food in order to feed the growing boys. Thank you to all my host families and all my teachers for all the help during these 3 years at ACA. But most importantly, I need to thank my parents. Without them, I would not be able to be here. I love you all. Thank you.
As I was writing this speech, I found it hard to figure out where to start. 6 years is hard to fit into 90 seconds. The countless memories, laughs, and lessons that I have got to share with my friends are enough to last me a lifetime. Memories such as the Backstreet Betas performance of I Want It That Way, to following Mr. Miners as he led us around Washington, D.C., wasting countless study halls playing King, Queen, Jack, or most recently having my daily nap during a Zoom call that seemed to have lasted an eternity. I knew I didn't have to make it through the academy alone, so I want to say thank you to my classmates for these memories over my past 6 years. Thank you to my teachers who have not only taught me the value of hard work, but also challenged me to finish strong. Thank you to my parents who have always strived to make me the best I can be and to learn from my mistakes. I've always looked up to you both as an example of what kind of person I want to be. I love y'all. To my siblings, thank you, Yates, for being my best friend and always having my back. You've taught me patience, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like living 6 hours away from you. Thank you, Emma, for being the best role model I could imagine. You've always been the person I look up to and admire. You've taught me the things that are most important in life, and I'm so thankful for every lesson you've taught me. I love y'all. Finally, I'm done.
My high school career is finally done with and I'm overjoyed. There are a few things that I enjoyed during my time at ACA and I'll try to go over most of them. To start, I want to thank my friends for being so awesome and helping me forget about how bad school can be. I've made a lot of friends and worse enemies such as Sam Hankley, but over the past years, a lot of them have graduated or gone to another school, and I want to thank the ones that stayed this year specifically since this year has been pretty rough. The end of this year has been weird and I thought I'd enjoyed it, but now I realize that there are some things that I'm really going to miss, like stealing Madame's food, complaining in the senior alcove, and mooching off of people's food at Ingalls because I have to stick to the budget. I'm going to get to take some good memories with me from the past 4 years, like winning first place in the turkey chase, playing a year-long game of tag, and blasting Rock the Casbah at the Garden of Eden with the boys. I'm sure that some people I've met are going to go on and live their lives on their own, but I'm certain that I'm going to keep in touch with a handful of them, and I've made some relationships that will definitely last a lifetime. The final thing I want to say is that ACA is only as bad as you make it out to be, so you should focus on the things that really matter even if they don't happen in the building.
Psalm 73:26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." As I reflect on my years at ACA, my mind fixates on the people who have impacted my life in ways unimaginable. Thank you, teachers, for your intentionality and your encouragement. To Mr. Lundberry, thank you for your creativity and your Christ-like kindness. Mrs. Hagan and Miss Zanius, thank you for your passion for creation and the Creator. Mr. and Mrs. Whitley, thank you for your generosity and your dedication. And finally, thank you, Mr. P, for demonstrating the beauty of Christ through both music and conversation. Thank you to my family. You have supported me and shown me great love. Sissy, thank you for your friendship, honesty, and your joy. I'll see you in the fall. Josiah, you are so intelligent. Thank you for your love of books and your humor. You will never fail to make me smile. James, thank you for your help and your support. Mom, I love you. Thank you for showing me grace and demonstrating what it means to be a woman of God. I admire your faith. Popwa, 谢谢你让我去 ACA, 我爱你. Thank you to my fellow seniors for exhibiting immense kindness and true friendship. I love you all, and I pray you trust the Lord in all that you do. Keep smiling, keep fixing cars, keep dancing in the rain, keep singing, keep loving, and keep living for Christ. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit."
I want to start, of course, by saying thank you to every parent in the room, especially my own two.
every teacher, staff member, and peer. You have made it possible for all of us to get here. I'd like to tell you about what I've learned this last month in particular. I've gotten into Norwegian music, and I'm learning the language with all my newfound free time. Weird, I know. But my favorite singer, Aurora, sings some poignant words. I would rather see this world through the eyes of a child. Darker times will come and go. I would rather feel alive with a childlike soul. The world can be so dark. Often the more we learn about it, the more we hate it. It is broken and overwhelming, and its sinful nature forces us to grow up so fast if we let it. A lot of people think that children do not understand the world. I don't know if you've ever tried to explain astrophysics to a child, but chances are they understand it more than any adult ever would. Adults like to complicate things. They weigh pros and cons of each and every decision, and even of some that they have no control over. But children understand the secrets of our universe because they acknowledge that some things exist without permission. The world existed before you or I was here to confirm it. I'm sure some of my classmates could tell you that in the past, I believed that I knew everything there is to know about the world. I was vocal when it came to telling others that, and this was perhaps my biggest mistake. But children rule out nothing. They know that there is always more to learn and can thus begin to absorb truths with little bias. Scripture tells us to have faith like a child. We can trust that God gives us hope and the ability to simply believe that some things are the way they are. We must be kind, be curious, and remember what we've learned so far about God, about good things, and about the world and how it turns. This world is temporary, but it is so beautiful, and every action matters very much.
July 19th, 2019, 9:37 p.m. I had been asleep for what felt like 2 minutes when I suddenly found myself walking toward a safe house with my cabin mates through the Michigan woods, a witness to a sky of lightning. As time seemed frozen, I was lost in the magnitude of the moment. My time in high school holds these moments, ones of unexplainable peace and joy amidst uncertainty. It's in smiles, lifted hands, tears held back, the embrace. If my time at the academy has taught me one thing, it is that the pursuit of Jesus requires ultimate surrender, demands sacrifice, and is much sweeter when done in community. Above all, Yahweh is in complete control. Resting in this quiet truth has been the thunder in my life. Thank you, class of 2020, for presenting me with difficult decisions, for it is with your unintended help that I am a stronger person. Thank you to all my teachers for showing mercy and humoring my inquisitiveness. Thank you, ACA Fine Arts, for believing in me when I could not and teaching me that impossible things happen every day. Thank you to my siblings, Luca, Bryn, Jacob, Nicholas, and Story, for your laughter and forgiveness. Thank you, Dad, for your hugs and displaying Christ's love so well. Your smile itself is enough to make me smile, even when I am in the worst of moods. Thank you, Mom, for walking with me, both literally and spiritually. You certainly love coffee more than I do, but not more than I love you. I take heart in knowing that my hope is a strong footing for my feet to rest upon. The big blue roof will always have a piece of my heart, but I'm so ready for this next chapter of my life, this new adventure in this great wide somewhere.
Wow, here I am after 13 years. I have finally made it. I remember when I graduated from kindergarten, wearing a navy cap and gown, thinking I was so cool, especially when I thought I was done with school forever. Thankfully, I was wrong and had 12 more years at ACA before I could head on to college. Memories like these will always connect me back to ACA. I want to thank all my teachers over the years for encouraging and caring for me. I couldn't have done it without any of them. To my friends, thank you for being there each step of the way and loving me for who I am. It has been an honor to grow beside you these past 4 years. Grandpa, Whitney, Jordan, Aunt Tammy, Uncle Donnie, Sarah, and Stephen, thank you for being there for me whenever I needed you and supporting my dreams. I love you all. To Mackenzie, my twin sister, I'm so glad I have you by my side, because without you, I don't know where I would be. You're my best friend, and I'm really excited to be taking on college with you at UNCA. Dad, I love you so much. I'm glad you work at ACA. I knew I could always come to you if I needed anything, and it's going to be hard next year not having you a hallway away. I also want to thank you for encouraging me to come out of my shell and showing me I can achieve my dreams, even if I don't believe in myself. Mom, I love you, and I don't know what I would do without you either. Thank you for being someone I can talk to about anything. You always believed in me, and I'm glad I have you as a mother. There is so much I could say to all my family, because you have impacted my life greater than you could ever believe. But my allotted time for this speech is running out. Moving on can be hard, but I know that it's not closing the chapter on my life, but turning a new page.
As I began constructing this speech a couple of hours before its deadline, I recalled a moment in my childhood that perfectly sums up how I would describe this year. Cut to 3rd or 4th grade, the innocent age when nothing else mattered but recess, the nirvana of prepubescence. It was here that Asher Davidson and I recommenced our routine reenactment of Indiana Jones, mainly involving us air-punching each other. I guess at that age, spatial awareness leaves much to be desired, as before long, one of Asher's punches managed to miss the non-existent bad guy and instead land square on my face. I like to look back on this moment, not just to wonder if it explains the issues I have today, but also as a reminder that everything is all fun and games until life decides to throw hands. Despite the uncertainty and change that has characterized this year, the adaptability of our faculty and staff has been extremely impressive and deserves tremendous appreciation. I can only imagine the level of headache-inducing stress that must have followed the many tough decisions that had to be made this trying year. My deepest thanks go to everyone involved in providing for the students in the midst of this pandemic, especially the teachers. Your intense care and commitment for the well-being of us are the foundation upon which ACA is built. Speaking of care and commitment, the speech would be meaningless if I do not mention the ways in which my family has demonstrated both qualities towards me. To my brother Jake, thank you for never wavering in your loyalty and love for me, even when I have done everything possible to not deserve it. You truly are and have always been a role model that I am extremely lucky to have. Katie, thank you for consistently taking the time to ask about how I am doing emotionally and for being available as my own personal therapist. No matter how annoyed I may seem to get at these types of questions, please keep asking them. Becca, although you are off in your own little world in Haiti right now, please know that there is not a day that goes by that I do not think about you. I hope to be able to approach half of your capacity for compassion and self-sacrifice for those in need, though I know it is unlikely. Mom, I wish I had the words needed to truly appreciate the steadfast commitment and love you have for me and the family. I'm still blown away daily that one person can have that much good present in their heart. Dad, I've always strived to match the unyielding work ethic, determination, and grit that you have for sacrificing your time and energy for the benefit of others, whether those include patients you've never met or your own family. I hope someday that when Dr. Hinckley is mentioned, the question that follows will be, which one? Dear graduating class of 2020, I don't want to brag or anything, but I'd say you guys are pretty stacked. Your ranks include criminally talented musicians and actors, extremely dedicated athletes, radically inventive artists, driven and passionate scholars, and then I guess Carson Land is in there too somewhere. But seriously, as someone who has spent more than half of my life at this school, I can say with zero hesitation that I have not met a single person in this class that didn't positively overflow with success. Therefore, take hold of your incredible talents, work ethic, intelligence, passions, and experience, and shock everyone with the unprecedented work you will accomplish. Our society is actively begging for ultra-competent people like you in this chaotic time. Don't let them down. Make the very world around you infinitely grateful to call you one of its inhabitants, and most of all, never forget that it already is. Thanks.
does the time go? I don't want this to end. Where does the time go? Let's hang on to the moment of all the things we will remember, the good, the bad, and all the blessings in disguise. Today will stick with me forever, even if we have to say goodbye. Where does the time go? I keep losing track. Where does the time go? We're too young to get lost looking back. Life doesn't always give us answers. Some dots they won't connect until the years go by. If we're not meant to be together, someday we'll know the reasons why. Of all the things we will remember, the good, the bad, and all the blessings in disguise. Today will stick with me forever, even if we have to say goodbye. Where does the time go? I don't want this to end. Where does the time go? Let's hang on to the moment we're in.
Life was easy back when we were young. We'd wear cowboy hats and play with laser guns. Days were simple like a guitar strum. It was a summer night, no matter what the month. The world was smaller within our circle. We were so safe and warm. But now we're older, it's not so simple. We're head on with that storm. Come on, brother, open up your eyes. We felt the fire and seen the blood. We're carrying the scars. We played the city far too long. We will travel on. With a broken smile, sister, rest your bones. Come on and stay a while. She takes a seat and whispers, thank you, friend. Then she looks my way, says, don't misunderstand. We had no armor, we didn't need it. We were so safe and warm. But now we're older, it's not so simple. We're head on with that storm. Sister, open up your eyes. We felt the fire and seen the blood. We're carrying the scars. We played the cynic far too long. Oh, we will travel on. were so safe and
deliver them a little something to help keep them going.
But now we're older, it's not so simple. We'll head on with that stone. The world was smaller, way back in Dawson. We were so innocent and strong. But now we're older, it's not so simple. We'll head on with that stone. Oh, come on, people, open up your eyes. We felt the bar and seen the blood. We're carrying the scars. We played the cynic far too long. We felt the bar and seen the blood. Yeah, we're carrying the scars. We played the cynic far too long. We will travel on.
It's a big world, I'm off and away. There's so many things to see. I'm looking ahead, and I won't wait. I'm gonna take the lead. Any direction that I choose, I can't lose. Oh, the places I'll go. Oh, the places I'll go. Oh, the places I'll go. All the great sights on the highest of heights.